Welcome back, everybody. In week 5, I'm going to give you a really cool meditation technique that's going to help you out, and it's actually going to go deeper and deeper into your meditation practice. And this exercise is one of the most powerful techniques that I've ever come across, and I still use it to this day because it's that powerful. Now, everything we've been doing from week 1 to week 4 has been leading up to this deeper meditation technique. So there is a reason why we did everything we've done so far, such as in week 1, we did the clearing and cleansing of your mind. We got into week 2 where we did the diet, where you should be feeling good. And then we did week 3 where you're venting about your life and maybe make your life a little more positive. And week 4, we talked about taking your inner child out to where like you're having a more positive life, you're having a more positive outlook, you're more creative, and you have a better sense of wonder and more youthfulness. So now you got some positivity going into week 5, where we're going to talk about a really deep meditation technique. And when you get deeper into meditation, it helps out to have a more positive state, which is what we've been developing this entire time. So even if you're not in a positive state right now, don't worry about it. We're going to get you into a deeper state right now. And it's a really cool technique. And it's just a shift of the tables, like turning things around as far as how you think. Now, what I mean by that is like, in life right now, like everything is probably more important than you. Like everything from like once you get up in the morning, like getting dressed, eating breakfast, and going to your job is more important than how you actually feel. Like I'm sure you wake up every day wishing you could just sit in bed and just sleep in and not go to work. Like we all probably feel that here and there. Or like you have to go take care of your kid's more important than you. Or you have to take care of your bills, that's more important than you. Like everything in your life comes first. And that sucks. And so and that's not the way it should be. Like you should come first because you're number one. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. Whereas like right now, you're probably taking care of yourself to the minimal and then just doing what you need to do. And then you take care of this, that, and the other. And like everything else comes first in your life. And that's not the way things should go. So in this technique, which would probably require you to just be by yourself in your room or whatever else, especially in the beginning. You could probably do this, you could do this later on, like when you're walking around or out in public or whatever, that's different. But just for starting out, this is just better to be alone, so that way you can actually concentrate and focus on this technique. And so this technique is quite simply just remembering yourself. And so a lot of people don't do this, and this is like, it sounds so simple, and it really is, but it's gonna really shift the way you're thinking and your attention and how you focus. Because like right now you're probably focusing on everything else outside of your life except for yourself. So this is actually super powerful technique. It's gonna give you a lot of boost of energy, and because like your inner self, like your true center in yourself, is where all your joy is, where your happiness is, where your creativity is, and where your energy is too. So if you start paying attention to yourself again, you're gonna start having more and more energy and being more cheerful and happier because you're paying attention to yourself and you're making yourself the star of the show again. So I mean, whereas like your kids are number one, your boss is number one, everything else is number one, while you're like number 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, or whatever on the list of everything that's important. So for this technique, it's very simple, but it's going to take a little time to like keep refocusing, because as you do this, you sit with your eyes closed and you simply remember yourself. But every time you get caught up in your thoughts, every time you get caught up in your emotions, you just remember yourself. Just remember yourself. So you can try this right now. Just close your eyes, and then just for a split second, just for 10 seconds, just remember yourself, and just keep going deeper and deeper, and just forgetting everything else that's outside of you, and just forget your thoughts, forget your emotions, and no matter where you are, if you're caught up in your emotions or thoughts, just remember yourself and take yourself out of it. So just real quickly, we'll do it right now, and then I'll talk a little more. So just for 10 seconds, close your eyes, and then just remember yourself. Now, that should be really cool, and like it's gonna be refreshing to actually focus on yourself. And now I feel brighter and more energetic, and so you might feel that too. Now, just to get a little more deeper into this technique, the way I like to explain it is like, if you were to consider yourself like this is just an analogy, right? So if you were to consider yourself like a glass of water, okay, with a straw in it. So the glass is like the cup is basically your body. The water itself could be your thoughts and emotions. And then the straw is like you. It's your consciousness, like you are inside your body, right? So like is your true self is like, we'll just say it's the straw. So like when you wake up and your thoughts start stirring around, your emotions start stirring around, like that's like the straw being stirred around in the water, and then you let it go, and then the straw keeps stirring around with the water, right? And so like, and that's the way your life is all day long. You're constantly caught up in your thoughts, you're constantly caught up in your emotions, and then the cup is taking care of anything and everything else outside of the world. Now, by remembering yourself, it's kind of like you know, the water's still stirring around, but when you remember yourself, it's kind of like grabbing onto that straw and just holding it still. So like no matter how fast the water's going or whatever, that straw stays right where it needs to be. So the more and more you give your attention to yourself and you take yourself out of your thoughts, take yourself out of your emotions, you know, you take yourself out of the water basically. So like the water is eventually going to settle down. It's going to slower and slower and slower, and it's eventually going to stop. And so because you're taking the straw, which is causing all the stirring, basically causing the water to move around, if you stop the straw by remembering yourself, eventually the water and the emotions are going to start slowing down too. And so if you stop giving your energy to your thoughts and emotions and start giving your energy to yourself and staying still, everything else is eventually going to slow down and slow down and slow down, and your thoughts and your emotions are going to calm down. So that's a super, super powerful thing. But what's important though is like you're giving your attention to yourself, which is something you probably haven't done in a long time. Like I said, like from the moment you wake up in the morning, you're probably giving your attention to something else in your life, like your job, your kids, getting breakfast and getting on with your day, you know. So like everything always comes first. So by doing this technique where you close your eyes and you remember yourself and you sit there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you just remember yourself. And every time you get caught up in a thought, every time you get caught up in emotion, it doesn't matter, just become aware that you're caught up in your thoughts, your emotions, and then just bring your attention back to yourself and just remember yourself, because yourself is the most important thing in your life. And so if you give your attention to yourself, you're gonna have more energy, and you're gonna be healthier, you're gonna be happier, more creative. And so this technique is something that could take a while to get used to, because you're probably not used to giving attention to yourself. But just do this and just like sit there and start off for a few minutes, and then eventually get more and more, like add another minutes, you know, start off with 5 minutes one day, the next day do it for 6 minutes, and then do it for 7 minutes next day or whatever. Now, typically what I like to do is like for however old you are, that's how long you should practice meditation. That's just like, you know, not saying that it needs to be done that way every day, but I'm 39, so I always set my alarm for 39 minutes, and then I practice whatever meditation technique I'm doing that day. But this technique for remembering yourself is one of the most powerful techniques that I've ever done in my life. And like the first time I ever did this, I did this on accident. I was actually working a really stressful job. I had, like at the time I was probably like 17 or 18. And then this is back in the day when I had lots of panic attacks and anxiety and everything. And then like, it was like everything was more important to me. Like my job, I was working like 10 hours a day. It required me to travel and talk to people all day long, and it was just super stressful. And it was like also a commission job to where like I had to work, otherwise I wasn't gonna get paid. So it was like one of those jobs where it's like I couldn't just ride the clock and just get paid no matter what. It was a job where I was working on commission, and if I didn't make money or make sales, I got no sale, I got no money. So it was basically that. It was a super stressful job. I had to work 10 hours a day and travel, and it was like seriously like 50 hours, if not 60 or more hours a week. So, and what happened was like I was so busy working this job towards like, you know, I was eating out of gas stations and like never eating breakfast and like having this really bad lifestyle. And then I eventually just broke down one day, and I was like, I sat in my car, and I was like, everything in my life is like running me over. And I just closed my eyes, and I just remembered myself. And I just sat there for like 10 minutes, just with myself, just remembering myself. And when I woke up, like my emotions and my mind I felt like I exploded. Like I was so full of joy, so full of energy. And I was like, wow, for the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first. And I basically, like once I got home from that job, like 3 days later, I quit. I was like, I don't care about this job. this job sucks, and it's ruining my life. And so I had some money saved up to where I actually took off for the summer, and I enjoyed the next 3 months of my life. And so, but I'm just saying, that was a long time ago, of course, but this one technique will put you first, and it'll put you on the right track that you need to go on. Because if you're giving your attention to everything else, you're making everything else first. If you put yourself first, you're going to start making better decisions for yourself, and you're going to start going in the direction that you want to go, not the way life is pulling you to go into. And so practice this technique. Just sit down, close your eyes, and just remember yourself. And then if you get caught in your thoughts, your emotions, don't worry about that. Just pull yourself out of it slowly and gently, and just remember yourself and keep giving attention to yourself. And then you're going to start feeling more peaceful, more happier. And by now your thoughts should be slowing down. They shouldn't be as racing as much, and from all of our previous techniques. And so you should start feeling pretty good and manageable to where even if you are caught up in your thoughts or emotions, you can just simply take a step back and just start remembering yourself again. And it's just a little quick practice. And every time you forget yourself and you get caught up in your emotions, that's fine. It's normal, because that's where you've been living your life up until now. So it's just a little practice of keep bringing your attention back to yourself. And the more you do this, the better you're going to get good at it. And then eventually you can get to the point to where it's you could be walking down the street just remembering yourself, or you could be eating your dinner remembering yourself. And then every time you bring attention to yourself, you're going to light up, and your mind's going to light up, and your emotions light up. Every time I talk about remembering myself, I feel myself light up. So I feel more energetic, I feel more awake. And so, but just do this for 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, or do it 1 minute for however old you are, or whatever you want to go with, whatever makes you feel good. But right now, just start remembering yourself. And the more energy goes where attention flows. So if you start giving energy to yourself, you're going to start feeling more energetic, more healthier, more happier. And so this is a really deep technique, and everything we've been doing from week 1 to week now has been leading up to this technique, to where now you should be able to focus on yourself, on your true self, and then you start giving energy to yourself and start putting yourself number one. So give this a shot. Just close your eyes and remember yourself, and spend time doing this twice a day. And by now, now that we're in week 5, you should maybe be done doing the clearing your mind and emotions technique that we did in week 1. So with that technique, you could have been doing it twice a week for 3 weeks straight or 4 weeks straight. But if you want to keep doing that technique, if you love that technique, go with it. Don't stop if you love it. But if you feel like now it's time for a change, then you can do this technique, or you can do keep doing the gibberish technique twice a week, and then do this technique twice a week too, or whatever. But it's just however you feel. And then again, the more you feel good with it, the more and more you do it. So you might do this technique once a week or twice a week, but then you realize how much better you're feeling. Then you might start doing it 4 times a week, or maybe you start doing it twice a day, or whatever. But it's however you feel, and what's good for yourself. So it's going to the gym. Going to the gym twice a week, 7 days a week might not be the best thing for you. Maybe just going 5 times a week might be best for you. So, or 3 times a week, but just figure out what works for you and know what works for you, and start giving, more time to doing that. And so this technique's going to start making yourself a priority. And when you're number one, when you're the most important thing in your life, everything else is secondary, and you start making your life better. So this is just a little shift in gears as far as how you've been thinking your entire life. So instead of making everything more important than you, just for 10, 20 minutes, just remember yourself, and you just start becoming more calm, more cool, more collect, and you're going to become more centered in your true being, and you start making more better decisions for your life. But this whole technique is going to make you feel really good. You're going to feel really energetic, and you can go deeper and deeper into meditation, and that's what meditation is all about. And eventually your mind will slow down, your emotions will slow down, the more you give yourself energy. Because if you have thoughts and emotions, it's because you're caught up in them, or you're giving energy to them, and you're giving attention to them. But if you start giving attention to yourself, just like I said, when we're stirring the straw, paying attention to yourself is holding the straw, and then eventually the water that's swimming around the glass will eventually slow down and simmer down and stop. And then you're going to get these moments where you have no thoughts and no emotions, and like everything's just calm and cool, like a crystal clear lake. And that's what meditation is all about. So meditation is all about taking yourself out of your thoughts, out of your emotions, and coming to your true self. So your consciousness, your awareness, and that's what the whole thing of meditation is all about. That because that when you have that crystal clear lake, your mind is crystal clear, your emotions are crystal clear, like, and you can be in that meditative state where you're just on yourself and focus on yourself, and you're in this like basically like this effortless awareness. That's what meditation is. And so it takes a second to get there, but that's just because your entire life you've been running around, no matter how old you are, whether you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, you've been running around thinking of this and that. But it takes time to slow down and simmer down and get to this point to where you're just in meditation. So I'm hoping that everything we've done from week 1 to week 4 has helped clear out all the clutter, and now you can actually meditate and start focusing on yourself. And so this is one of the most powerful meditation techniques that you can be doing. You can be doing this every day. So I hope you enjoy this, and just remember, just sit there and just remember yourself, and you start feeling really good, and you're going to get results. And you're going to know that your meditation is working when you even if you have thoughts and emotions in your meditation practice, you're going to know that your meditation is working when you open your eyes, and like lights are more brighter, sounds are more crisp and cleaner. You're going to feel more energetic. You might feel more cheerful, and when you walk around, you're going to feel like you're walking on air. Like you're going to feel like you're floating basically. So just know, like, those are just signs that your technique in meditation is working. So even if you are caught up in your thoughts and emotions, but you are able to remember yourself, just know like you're making progress every time you practice. So make this, a daily routine, or even an every other day thing, or maybe like do it twice a day. It doesn't matter, but figure out what works for you, what works best for you, and you're gonna enjoy this. And just know, no matter where you are in life, like, you're always going to have thoughts, you're always gonna have emotions, and you're always gonna have to have like some kind of cleansing or clearing yourself out. So that's just part of life. But meditation, every time you come to your true self, that cleanses your thoughts, that cleanses your emotions, and you start becoming more and more cheerful, and you're gonna start having a more balanced, more centered life, and just start enjoying every moment of your life. So give this a shot. You're gonna get some great benefits. I know it has done for me and my students. So give this a shot right now. Try it out for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever you wanna do. You're gonna enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video.